This is the Two Bald Guys Sports Podcast. Bald heads, bold takes. Now, here are your hosts, Adam and Tony.
Welcome back. I'm Adam.
I'm Tony.
This is the Two Bald Guys Sports Podcast. We are getting close. I think I saw somewhere earlier today that said that this is today's Thursday. We're taping this on a Thursday. This is the last Thursday, obviously till the end of the season, that we will not have football. So next Thursday's the Hall of Fame game, I think, and then we get into preseason, then the rest of the preseason, and then we get into college football and all that stuff. So we are a week away from a football game that isn't the UFL.
Oh, man. It seems so close, but yet still so far away.
Right?
But I'm excited. I mean, football, we're getting there. Somebody said college was like 20, it's like less than 30 days away, and that's all I needed to hear right there. And I'm like, let's go.
Yep, so it's July 30th. It's Thursday, July 30th. And I think the first game for college football is like August 30th or something right around there, somewhere in there.
So we're right
there.
Yeah.
Exact date. September 5th is week one, and the week before that, which has like 5 or 6 games, which we'll get into in another podcast because we got other things to talk about today. Listen, you've become more of an SEC fan because Oklahoma jumped ship from the Big 12 to the SEC to join. They left with Texas. So you're more of an SEC fan than you were. I think you'd be in the same boat I was if Oklahoma was still in the Big 12. But the SEC, obviously, we've talked about this before. They were really, really good. They ran, I think, they had like 10 straight national championships or something like that. They were good. Bama was running it. Georgia got good. Auburn won it in there a little bit. LSU won it in there a little bit. But since NIL's come along, the Big Ten has kind of caught up with them. The Big Ten has won the last 3 championships, Michigan, Ohio State, Indiana. We've talked about that also. But we've argued too a little bit about this SEC bias because we're like, everybody says the SEC is better because they play SEC teams, and they just better because they do it, and all these teams get ranked because of it. And we argue in the preseason rankings and stuff like that. There's something I'm gonna come up with in a minute, but do you agree, before we get into this other thing, that the SEC, there's a little bit of bias towards them?
So I'm going to go back to what you started with Oklahoma moving to the SEC. We've been doing this podcast 5, 6, 7 years, something like that now. And before Oklahoma went to the SEC, you and I were tired of all this SEC, that. They're just better over there. Their mid-level teams would dominate other conferences. And you're right. Since Oklahoma has went to the SEC, I'm not going to say I like the SEC. I didn't want Oklahoma to go, first of all. But I do have to kind of support my team and their conference a little bit. So while you and I were probably 95% in agreement before, we're probably going to be a little less now. I'm going to play a little devil's advocate. I do think there is SEC bias, but I also do believe that there is some reasoning for that because a couple years ago when we were talking about this, right before Oklahoma made the move, I was like, why? I just, for one day, I was like, why is this SEC bias? Why is it so strong? And I think I have some reasons why, but we'll get into that here in a second. Is there SEC bias? Yes. Do I have reasons for why it's that way? Yes. Is the tide turning? I think we'll get into that as well.
All right. So the one, let's be honest, the thing that drives sports and the sports commentary is ESPN. I think we can't argue with that. ESPN is the leader in sports.
They're number one.
Yep. They're number one. I mean, as much as you can complain about things, and we do all the time, and I'll get into football for a second, but we do all the time with them talking about, like, there's other people in the NBA besides LeBron James, and there's I was going to say there's other teams in the NBA besides the Los Angeles Lakers, but now the Philadelphia 76ers are going to be they're all of a sudden in the NBA again. There's other teams in the NFL besides the Dallas Cowboys, and there's other teams in baseball besides the New York Yankees. Like. And
I disagree with that one. I agree to accept
right. Yeah. You being a Yankees fan, and listen. I know you like it. There's other rivalries besides the Yankees and the Red Sox, but the ESPN definitely drives this stuff, right? That you can say what you want about Fox Sports or Sports Illustrated or anything like that. ESPN drives it. So when and I do too. Like if I want my sports fix, I go to ESPN.com and all this stuff.
Right.
This isn't a plug for them, but ESPN drives their stuff. So they just came out with their analytics, and I don't know how they came up with this. Strength of schedule. They listed 20 teams, the top 20 teams. I'm sure there's more. They obviously have a whole list, but I have the top 20 teams in front of me. Okay. 20 teams in front of me. How many of those teams do you think are in the SEC?
I'm sorry.
What do you think, Tucker?
I lost you for a second. Repeat that, please.
Okay. How many SEC teams out of the top 20 do you think are in that list? So 20 teams. How many SEC teams do you think are in that list of 20?
Okay, I don't have the list in front of me, so I'm just spitballing it here. Well, I can think of 4 right off the top of my head, probably 5. I'm going to go 7.
7? 7 out of the top 20?
7.
Add 9 to that. 16. What? 16 out of the top 20 teams supposedly have the toughest strength of schedule.
There's only
Michigan.
There's only 16 teams in the SEC, right?
There you go. So Michigan, believe it or not, I mean we've talked about this. Michigan this year plays Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, Iowa, and Oklahoma, who by the way is in the SEC.
Correct.
They are 16th according to this. 16th. Right. 16th. Number 1, Arkansas. Number 2 is Oklahoma. Number 3 is Texas. 4 is Kentucky. 5 is Ole Miss. 6 is Mississippi State. 7 is Florida. Before we finally get to a Big Ten team, Ohio State at 8. Then you have Texas A&M, South Carolina, LSU, Missouri, Auburn, Alabama, all SEC teams, and then a little bit of a run for the Big Ten: Michigan, Northwestern, Vanderbilt, USC, and Georgia. 16 out of the top 20 teams supposedly have this toughest strength of schedule, and this is because they think the SEC is so good.
Because they play each other, right? This is
Arkansas' schedule. This is Arkansas' schedule. Their non-conference games are North Alabama, at Utah, and Tulsa. Now, I get it.
Utah
at Utah is not an easy game, okay? But Let's compare this to Michigan's non-conference schedule. Michigan has Western Michigan, UTEP, but they have Oklahoma. Now, Oklahoma is at home. I get that. But if you're going to go with this a little bit, I think Oklahoma is better than Utah. And I mean, they should be. They're in the SEC, right? So right now, I think Michigan has a better schedule than Arkansas, right? Would you agree?
The non-conference, obviously, I'm a little biased, but Oklahoma is better than any team that Arkansas is facing.
Correct. All right. Now, they do play at home: Georgia, Tennessee, Missouri, South Carolina, and LSU at home. Okay. Georgia, obviously really good. We're not going to argue that. Tennessee's been better. Missouri, I think, is a wild card. So is South Carolina, and so is LSU. Like, LSU should be better, but truthfully, the best team on that is obviously Georgia. And, I mean, I'm not trying to say Tennessee, Missouri, South Carolina, LSU are bad, but I think those are all kind of like, I want to say flip a coin going into the season. Would you agree with that?
I think Missouri and South Carolina for sure. They can be tough teams, but for the most part, when we thought that they were good the last few years, they kind of fell apart. Tennessee's a little bit of a wild card, and LSU's getting a lot of love because of A, it's LSU, B, Lane Kiffin's there, and C, or B, subsection 1, Sam Levitt, that quarterback, came over there because they're giving a lot of love to LSU because Lane Kiffin has brought in some players, and they have a proven quarterback. And I think LSU will be better under Lane Kiffin than Brian Kelly, but that's not saying a whole lot. So I think Georgia would cancel out if we're looking at Michigan's schedule to compare. I think Georgia would cancel
out with Ohio State, right? Cancel out with Ohio State, right?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I agree with that.
But that Georgia game's at home and Michigan plays at Ohio State. So you got to give a little bit of edge to Michigan at Ohio State. Would you agree?
Correct. Yeah, that's much tougher than obviously playing at home.
All right. Now, home games, they also play Iowa at home, which I would say Tennessee or LSU is better than Iowa. So, and Penn State. They play Penn State at home too. So let's just say Tennessee and LSU, maybe a little bit of an edge to Arkansas on that one. I would agree, right? Tennessee.
Yeah, but we're talking about the number one toughest schedule in the nation to what was Michigan, 15 or whatever?
16 according to this,
right.
Okay?
But right now, the schedule looks fairly comparable.
Fairly comparable. All right, their road games in the SEC at Texas A&M, at Vanderbilt, at Auburn, at Texas. Now, If we want to go with road games, Texas and Ohio State would be a wash, I think, right?
Maybe, yeah. That Texas A&M, that 12th man there, and Texas A&M was decent last year. I can see how that, but I'm not even throwing Vanderbilt in there anymore because I think they are going to be back to Vanderbilt. They don't have Pavia anymore, so that's a fun story for the last couple of years. But Vandy, no. Texas A&M, super easy schedule last year. We're going to see what they're all about this year. But playing at Texas A&M is difficult.
Right. No, and then you got at Texas, which I agree. So let's say Texas. Let's say Texas and Ohio State cancel each other out. Michigan also goes to Oregon. I'm going to put Oregon over Texas A&M. Right?
Yeah, 100%. 100% I put Oregon over Texas A&M.
And then Vanderbilt and Auburn, okay. I don't see it. I don't see Vanderbilt being great. Pavia's gone. We could say what we want about Pavia, but he's gone, and that was a driving force there. And Auburn, do you trust Auburn to do anything yet?
No,
okay.
I don't think Auburn.
So and Michigan, obviously has Penn State, and they have Indiana at home too. So listen, tell me what is so much different about this schedule. Okay, now let me pull up Michigan's here just to make sure.
I'll tell you what's different. All right, it's that non-conference game against Oklahoma. That's the difference.
Well,
the two hardest games Arkansas has to play can be canceled out by Ohio State and Indiana.
Right.
I mean, Texas and Georgia are great football teams, but so are Ohio State and Indiana. And then you throw Oregon in on that mix with Michigan, I think that puts them over the top. Not to mention their non-conference with Oklahoma. So
I mean, and that's the thing.
The gap is huge for no reason.
Michigan, okay, you could say at Utah is a little bit comparable playing Oklahoma at home, but if Oklahoma and Utah played right now, I put Oklahoma as a touchdown favorite over Utah right now, right? And I'm not trying to, and we can look at Ohio State's this isn't trying to we can look at Ohio State's schedule too, okay? But you have that, and I mean Indiana at home. Georgia at home. So Arkansas has Georgia at home. Michigan has Indiana at home. If we don't forget, Indiana is a reigning national champion.
That's correct. And until somebody can show that they can beat them, I don't know why we're not still. I mean, I don't think they're going to be as good, but I have reasons for that. But anyway.
Right. At Texas, at Ohio State.
Yeah.
That's a wash, right? At Texas A&M, at Oregon. At the worst, it is a wash, right? Yeah. Penn State, Tennessee. I would say that's close to a wash.
Close. Right? I might give Tennessee the edge on that until I see what Matt Campbell could do.
All right, cool. That's fine. But that leaves, I mean, so maybe Tennessee, but you could also say Oklahoma has the edge over Utah, right? That leaves Auburn, South Carolina, Missouri, and Vanderbilt. That's what that leaves. And now Michigan has, Iowa, Minnesota, Rutgers, Michigan State. They do have UCLA in there too. So now listen, if you want to say that the bottom of the Big Ten is not as good as the bottom of the SEC, I can understand that, right? And I can even say that if you want to go and say, well, because of that, Arkansas is a tougher schedule. Cool. That is cool. 1-16. 1-16. You can't tell me that is a 15-spot difference in the strength of schedule. You cannot tell me that.
No, I think I could make an argument that Arkansas' schedule is tougher, but you're right. Not 15 places tougher. 2, 3, maybe, depending on who else is up there. Because I think you and I would both agree Oklahoma does have a pretty rough schedule this year. But 15 spots from Arkansas to Michigan, no, those Georgia and Ohio State cancel each other out. Texas and Indiana cancel each other out. So now you look at the middle pack of the SEC and the middle of the road Big Ten, okay, but you have Oregon in there, and then of course your non-conference with Oklahoma. You could make an argument that Michigan's is stronger. We're not even really talking in depth about South Carolina, Vanderbilt, or Iowa, or Minnesota, or Michigan State. Michigan is a rivalry game, and I don't care how bad Michigan State is. That's a rivalry game. Anybody can win that one. I'm not seeing a whole lot of rivalry games there with Arkansas.
I mean, that's the thing with Michigan. They have a rivalry game against Michigan State. They have a rivalry game with Ohio State. They go to Oregon. They have Penn State, and they have Indiana at home. Please, and I understand Penn State was a huge disappointment last year. I get it. But they weren't that – that was one – and we talked about it. Now, they deserve what they lost. They screwed up. They messed up. But that was one of the best 500 teams. I think they were 6-6 or 7-5 or whatever they ended up being. It was pretty close to that. Ever. Would you agree?
They were closer to beating Indiana than anybody else on Indiana's schedule last year.
That's the
They
other
were
thing.
they were the
Penn,
closest team to beat them. They should have beat them. A freak catch in the end zone is the only reason Indiana won that. A freak play.
Penn State almost beat Indiana, and you can say what you want, but Indiana throttled
Yeah.
Alabama.
Good. It wasn't even close.
Right
From
after
start to
Alabama
finish.
beat Oklahoma, which we can, I'm not trying to dog on Oklahoma right now, but
No,
like,
there's nothing. Yeah, Indiana was by far the best
like
team.
they just throttled them. So like,
Was beat down.
and here's the thing too, you could be like, well, Indiana lost their quarterback. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's gonna.
They reloaded
cost more than
last
that.
year,
Yeah.
and they did it again. Now Ohio State's schedule, which is 8 spots above Michigan. Okay, they go to Texas. Okay, that is tough. That is really, really tough.
Again, is that much different than Oklahoma?
Right. They go to Iowa, they go to Indiana, and they go to USC, but they have Oregon and Michigan at home. Michigan goes to Oregon and Ohio State. They do have Indiana at home, and they have Penn State in there too, which I think Penn State's better. And in Ohio State has Maryland and Northwestern. They go to Nebraska. So I mean, but that's a tough schedule too. But I would think Michigan and Ohio State's schedule is pretty close. Now you can say the at Texas game is tougher. But if Ohio State wants to be like, well, our at Texas game is tougher than any game Michigan goes to place, well, you can't say that because Michigan goes to Ohio State.
Right. Exactly. Well, and I
So
would put, and Ohio State's what? What'd you say, eighth?
they are 8th. Correct. Yeah, good memory.
So I would, from what you just said, I would say that's just as tough as Arkansas, maybe tougher.
Yeah.
They have Texas, they have Oregon, they have Indiana, they have Michigan. Those 4 teams right there are probably greater than any 4 teams on Arkansas' schedule.
And they go to USC and they go to Iowa. Listen, I'm all
USC.
for Ohio State having a good, tough schedule. Trust me.
Oh,
Trust me.
100%.
But
At Iowa is tough.
that is not an easy schedule. It is not an easy schedule. And they have
Yes.
Illinois at home, who Illinois,
That's right.
we thought was
Decent.
a borderline playoff team last year, right? So
Yeah.
you look at this, you cannot tell me that their schedules, and maybe they're really, really close to each other's schedule, right? But
Well, true.
you can't tell me Arkansas is 15 spots ahead. I mean, Oklahoma has a number 2 schedule, okay? So let's go back through. I know we know it a little bit, but let's go back through Oklahoma's schedule. They do go to Michigan. We know that's tough. And they do go to Georgia, and they play Texas. I get it. But then you have Kentucky, Mississippi State, South Carolina, and Florida in 4 consecutive weeks. Okay, now Florida should be better, and that's at Florida. Who knows about South Carolina? Listen, if I'm Oklahoma, that is not a murderous row of a schedule right there. It's just not. Like
You listed
if-
4 teams that are probably better than anybody on Arkansas' schedule.
right, Kentucky, Mississippi State, South Carolina, and Florida. If you don't go at least 3-1 in those 4 games, then you don't deserve to be to mention anything.
Probably.
And the one game I'm talking about you possibly losing is at Florida because that's at Florida and we don't know.
Yeah.
I don't see it. I don't. And then you do have Ole Miss, Texas A&M, and Missouri. But the thing is, we don't know how good Texas A&M, Missouri, and Ole Miss are going to be. Like, yes, your 3-game stretch in 4 weeks, Michigan and Georgia and Texas in a 4-week stretch. I'm sorry, you have a bye in there in a 5-week stretch, but in a 4-game stretch, that is about as tough as you can get. I would agree. At Michigan, at Georgia, and then against Texas, which basically is a neutral site game, but it's in Texas. That is rough. That is a horrible stretch for Oklahoma. But then you get Indiana. I mean, Indiana has Michigan and Ohio State back to back. Michigan has Oregon and Ohio State 2 out of 3 games. So what is a big difference? And I'll tell you what it is because they love the SEC. They do. They love the SEC.
On Oklahoma's schedule, you see Georgia on there. You see Texas on there. You see A&M on there who made the playoffs last year. You see Ole Miss who made the playoffs last year. That's the kind of stuff that I'm guessing they're going by. Because there's no way that they can look and be like, well, Arkansas definitely has the hardest schedule because they play Georgia and they play, I don't even know who else they play, Texas, I guess. Like those are the 2 hardest games for Arkansas. But we just listed 4 teams that our teams play. They're either the same team or just as good. I mean,
right.
Indiana's the reigning national champion, and you have to play them. Ohio
Right.
State, national champion 2 years ago. You have to play them again, and that's the biggest rivalry probably in all of sports. So I agree that there's some SEC bias with some of this stuff, but I don't know who made this list, but they didn't really look that deep into it. Is there anybody else on that list that's not Big Ten or SEC?
Nope.
Right. And I would probably agree with that.
I can get behind that. I can really get behind that. But you're telling me that some of these teams like where's Oregon at? Oregon's not on the list, right? And let's go through Oregon's schedule here. Right. Well, I'll look at it here.
We know Oregon plays Indiana and Michigan, right?
I know they play Michigan and they play Penn State. I mean, not Penn State, Ohio State. All right, here's Oregon's schedule. No, actually, it doesn't. Now, Oklahoma State's not great. I get it, okay? But they have Boise State, Oklahoma State, Portland State. Listen, at least they're playing two Power 5. Well, okay. Boise's a mid-major. Well, are they going to the Pac-12 now? So are they Power 5? Yeah, anyways, they're one of the best there's a lot of teams that won't schedule Boise State, right?
Yeah, because they're paying.
Here is Oregon's schedule at USC. Okay, that's what Ohio State has. Home against UCLA. That's what Michigan has. Home against Nebraska. Listen, Ohio State has them on the road. At Illinois versus Northwestern. At Ohio State versus Michigan. At Michigan State versus Washington. Those are the last 4 games for them. Like, where's Oregon at on the schedule? Like,
they don't have Indiana. I guess maybe that would be the only.
They don't have Indiana, but they play Ohio State and Michigan back-to-back weeks. They have to go to Michigan State, and they have Washington, who's supposed to be better. At Illinois, Nebraska's, Matt Rule, they're a little bit better. At USC, and they're at least playing 2 teams in the preseason to have a pulse.
True. I think that the non-conference is what kind of separates these teams right now. But you're right. Where is Oregon? They're not even on the list, are they?
No, they're not in the top 20.
They make the list at all. Washington has that Desmond kid back at quarterback. Like, he was talked about the Heisman. I think he got hurt a little bit halfway through the year, but he was tearing stuff up. I think Washington's a team that's going to be much better. You got that Maeva guy or whoever at quarterback at USC with Lincoln Riley again and another year under that. They're going to be able to score points. We know that. So that's not an easy game. Nebraska, as much as I hate them, they got some Trey Turner guy that's 5-star this or something. He's supposed to be really good because Raiola left for Oregon. But Oregon not even making the list is kind of crazy. I think if Indiana's on that schedule, they should probably make that list. Indiana made that list, right?
No, they didn't make the list.
Indiana didn't make the list.
I mean, here's Vanderbilt's schedule, okay? And they are on the list, and it gets a little bit harder. But their non-conferences: Austin Peay, Delaware, and NC State. They play well. Delaware is now an FBS school. I get it, but basically they're playing 2 FCS teams in NC State. NC State wasn't great.
Okay.
They go to Auburn again. We don't agree that Auburn's going to be great. No. They go to Georgia and they play Mississippi State. Ole Miss back to back. Okay, that's tough.
That's tough.
Arkansas at home. Listen, Arkansas is not great. At Kentucky, at Mississippi State, like that 3-week stretch is not great. They do have Alabama, Florida, Tennessee to wrap it up. Now that's a decent schedule. I get it.
I'll give them 3.5 solid 2 games there.
Yeah, they're down. They're down at 18. Okay, they're behind Michigan and stuff like that. But I don't see this. I don't see why there are 16 teams in the SEC that are up there. And we talked about
there's only 16 in the SEC, I believe.
And this
SEC. That's the problem. Am I looking at something crazy? Am I counting wrong? Because I only count.
Let me look at this. I'll look at this. Yeah, the SEC here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, everybody in the SEC is in the top 20. Everybody.
The SEC made that. That is it. No, that's the first red flag. As much as I want to back the SEC, you can't put every single team in the SEC in the top 20 toughest schedule. You can't. That's a red flag. Awful.
We've just talked.
Auburn's on the list.
Yeah, Auburn is number 13.
I guess they play Baylor.
But I mean that's where you get at, and we've talked about this many times. When the top 25 comes out, when this preseason top 25 comes out, which we talked about this, they should get rid of the top 25 in the preseason. The only reason they do it for the most, well, I shouldn't say the only reason, but a lot of the reason they do it is people like us. We get to argue it, and we will. Right. When that top 25 comes out, we're going to argue it. Notre Dame's going to be too high. There's going to be freaking 10 SEC teams ranked. I mean, if you look at it right now, if I'm looking at these SEC teams, Oklahoma, Texas, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, LSU, Missouri, Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia are going to be ranked. So for sure. So if I count this right, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's going to be, I guarantee you, there's at least 9 SEC teams ranked, and I would not be surprised if somehow Florida was ranked. But I'm just going to go with 9. I'm going to say 10. I'm going to say one of those teams that's kind of on the verge is going to be ranked. So I'm going to say 10 SEC teams are ranked. right? And if we want to go in the Big Ten, I would give you Ohio State, Oregon,
Penn State can be in there.
Michigan.
That's it.
There's 4.
Did you say Indiana?
Indiana, there's 5. USC will probably be ranked at 6.
Yeah. Iowa.
Illinois might at 7, maybe Iowa at 8.
But the most of the top 25 is going to be, other than maybe BYU.
I bet
you
there's going to be at least 15, and I'm going low. High end, I'm going to go 17. So I'm going to go 15 to 17 range of SEC and Big Ten teams ranked in the preseason. But the problem is all these SEC teams get ranked.
Yeah.
And we talked about it. We talked to this ad nauseum. So you get beat by these mid SEC teams that maybe aren't great, but they're ranked, so these teams don't drop. I mean, it's why Alabama didn't drop. We can complain. I know Alabama beat Oklahoma. I understand that they beat Oklahoma in the first round of the playoffs last year. I understand that. But let's be honest, Oklahoma should not have made the playoff. They shouldn't have. And I know Texas whined about it too.
One of the two.
Right.
Oklahoma just got done beating Alabama. So I think Bama probably shouldn't have made the playoffs, and maybe Notre Dame should have got in, or Texas. I would agree.
Texas can complain too, but they lost to Florida.
Yeah, don't lose to Florida. You're in.
Don't lose to Florida, and they could be like, "Well, we had the best the best loss in America." Florida, really?
I mean, great, but that's still a loss. That doesn't really matter. Well, the bias, and I think you hit it on the head when you said the preseason rankings sets the SEC up for success later in the season because they're looking at a team like. Well, I guess it really doesn't matter. Any team that loses to another SEC team that's ranked, it seems to be somewhat accepted. Well, they lost to Tennessee, but Tennessee was ranked 15th. Tennessee had 3 losses, but they're still ranked 15th.
Right.
So it's like okay to lose to them.
And they want to put out this. They're like, the SEC is going to 9 conference games this year, which, first of all, I want to be like, about time.
Right.
And 2, I want to be like, yeah, that's cool. And then it's like the meat grinder. Well, the Big Ten has been doing that forever. And you can say whatever you want. You can say, well, the Big Ten's bottom is not as good as the bottom of the SEC. Okay, maybe not. But it's still conference games that you have to play every week, right? Yeah. The other thing is the Big Ten doesn't hide behind, and we've talked about this a bunch, playing the bull crap second to last week non-conference schedule.
Yeah, that's awful.
I'll pull this up again.
I was just looking at Auburn's schedule. You know who Auburn plays a week before Bama?
Probably
Samford. Not Stanford, Samford. That's who they play before the Iron Bowl. And Alabama's going to do the same thing if we look at Bama's schedule. LSU's going to do the same thing if we look at LSU's schedule. Bama has Chattanooga the week before Auburn. Bama it's just Bama has a bye before LSU.
I mean, this is the last week. Now you get some teams that actually play each other, and that's
they have to. It's not,
like Vanderbilt's playing Florida, Kentucky's playing Missouri, Texas A&M playing Oklahoma, Georgia, South Carolina, LSU, Tennessee. Okay, cool. Ole Miss plays Wofford. Mississippi State plays Tennessee Tech. Bama plays Chattanooga, and Auburn plays Samford, like you just said. Now I get it, but if you want to play those teams, it's your prerogative. It's a payday for those small FCS schools. I get it. Okay, I'm not saying I don't think you should play them, but I understand the benefit behind playing those. But play them in the first 3 weeks or the first 4 weeks because sometimes you throw in that early conference games. They should not be the week before your your game. Like, let's just be honest, and we've said it over and over and over again. What besides Alabama actually playing Georgia the last couple of years? What are Alabama's 2 biggest games of the year?
Auburn and LSU.
Auburn and LSU. What always happens before Auburn?
It's either a Chattanooga or a bye. Now,
it's always it's a Chattanooga this year. And what always happens before LSU?
A bye. They have a bye this year. LSU has a bye as well.
Guess what happens this year? They have a bye before LSU, and they play Chattanooga before Auburn. Now they
LSU
do play
has a bye before it too.
They do play Georgia. Yeah, right, exactly. And Auburn has basically a bye playing Samford. They do play 2 games in a row before they play Georgia, but it's at Mississippi State.
Right, that's not a strong game.
Like Indiana, the defending national champion, plays Ohio State and Michigan in back-to-back weeks. There's no bye.
The SEC sets themselves up for success because I'm just looking at LSU's schedule. Now, they have a bye right before Bama. Okay, just like Bama has a bye before them. So what they've done is they've scheduled a team like they play Clemson the first week. But let's say they lose that game. That game doesn't hurt them as bad in week 1 as it does in week 10 or 11 or whatever. So they schedule that tougher game early, but if they lose, they can bounce back from it.
Right.
I mean, they do play Bama, then they turn around and play Texas. So I will give them that, but they got a bye week before Bama. Just like Bama has a bye week before them. So it's strategic scheduling, and they manipulate it for sure, but no other conference does this. Not one. Big 12 never did it. Big 10's not doing it. Like you said, Indiana, the reigning national champs, has to play probably the 2 toughest games all year right at the end there.
Yeah, and it's just the SEC.
They manipulate.
You can say what you want, but you could always say it before. They're like, well, we're dominant. We won all these national championships in a row, and that was true. But now you're sitting here, and we talked about it. Texas A&M went undefeated. Well, they were going undefeated for the longest time, and they lost, right at the end. They didn't beat a team in the top half at the SEC last year. Like, now, granted, they didn't play anybody in the top half at the SEC, but you know what? I bet you if we went back to strength of schedule last year and been like Texas A&M, they would have been in the top 20. They didn't play. I think they lost. The one team they played in the top half of the SEC last year, they lost. And then they went and scored 3 points against Miami. And I'm not trying to downplay it. Miami was good. They went to the national championship game. I get it. But, like, Texas A&M was good, but they weren't great. But they were, they were beating up on these SEC teams. So they're like, they obviously got to be good.
Yeah. No, and so that's the problem with A&M this year, is their schedule's quite a bit tougher than last year. That's why I'm not sold on A&M this year. And I think LSU will be better. But you're right. I mean, everyone's living off the last 20 years where the SEC has won, five or six different teams have won a national title in the last 20 years. They send the most players to the NFL. I get the argument for it because that's when I was researching it. I was like, what is going on with the SEC? Okay, well, if you go the last 20 years, boy, they had the most teams win the national title. They also send the most players to the NFL. And all-time bowl wins is held by the SEC. So, okay, I get it, but the times are changing. It's not the same thing. We got the NIL, we have transfer portal, and we have this 12-team playoff now. And we've seen what's happened the last 3 years when this has – all this stuff has kind of come around. The SEC is not dominating like they were previously because the playing field is leveled out.
Right. I mean, Texas A&M, they do have a rough end of the schedule. They have Tennessee, Oklahoma, Tennessee.
They finally play
Tennessee, Oklahoma, Texas in 3 straight games. But their non-conferences, Missouri State, Arizona State, we could argue, and the Citadel. And guess where they put the Citadel? Right before they play Alabama.
Yeah, 100%. And the Arizona State lost their quarterback to LSU, so I don't see them being that Arizona State team we saw a couple years ago that probably should have beat Texas. So, yeah, the SEC does a good job of – they know they're going to have – like Texas A&M is going to start out ranked pretty high because they have their quarterback coming back. They had made the playoffs. And we'll see how far they fall after a few losses. What do you still have the strength of schedule pulled up? Where's A&M on that list?
A&M is number 9, right behind Ohio State.
See, we need to come back to that strength of schedule.
Right.
Screenshot that or whatever. We need to come back in 2 or 3 months, maybe in mid-October somewhere, and be like, okay, how is this playing out? Right? Is this strength of schedule really showing us Auburn has all these losses while Michigan's rolling through their schedule super easy or something like that? Is it really playing out that way, or are we just literally? They put all the SEC teams in the top 20, all 16. That's absolutely baffling to me.
Yeah.
You're telling me nobody else in the entire country has anywhere close to as tough a schedule as anybody in the SEC. I find that hard to believe. There has to be a team in the Big 12 or ACC. There has to be someone like Clemson who plays LSU, an SEC team, that has a tough schedule as well. I mean, does Clemson play Miami? You could throw that in there too. I mean, I cannot believe that they put all the, especially Vanderbilt. Come on, Vanderbilt.
Right. You speak of the SEC, and this is a tweet that Brett McMurphy, who is a respected reporter, for college football. In the last 3 years in the CFP, records versus other Power Four conferences. So basically, what was a Big Ten's record against the other Power Four conferences? We're not talking about Boise State, the Tulanes, those teams, right?
We're just talking college football playoff.
Just in the college football playoff, right?
Playoffs.
Okay.
Yeah.
The four biggest conferences, okay, who do you think has the best record?
Well, it has to be the Big Ten because they've won the last 3 national titles.
They've won the last 3 national titles. They are 9-3 against Power Four conferences, okay? I'll skip a little bit. Who's last?
Big 12 has to be last.
Big 12 is last. They are 0-3.
Yeah, they have won again.
Okay, so that leaves the ACC and SEC. Who is number 2?
I'm going to go with... Well, this is tough because I'm going to go with the SEC because I think the only ACC team that's done anything was Miami last year. Clemson made it, but they got beat right away.
I mean, you're right, but Miami won 3 games.
Right.
Guess how many games the SEC has won against a Power 4 conference in the last 3 years of the college football playoff?
4?
2.
2?
The SEC is 2-7, and both of those wins came against the SEC.
No kidding.
Think about it.
Wow.
Bama beat Oklahoma.
That was one of them.
And Ole Miss beat Georgia.
Okay, I forgot about that one. I thought that there was another. I thought there was 2 more.
The ACC is 3-3. Thank you, Miami. Yep. The SEC is 2-7.
Wow.
In the last 3 years of the college football playoff. Now, one of those years was a 14 playoff, and Alabama lost to Michigan, and Washington beat who did Washington beat? Texas. They beat Texas.
That's right.
So the SEC went 0-2 in that year. They only had the 2 games. So let's just take that year out. They're 2-5.
Yeah, but most people will be like, oh, in the last 3 or 4 years, we did it for 20 years or whatever. But
okay, that's true.
The tide is turning for sure.
You can say that we did it the last 20 years, and I cannot disagree with you on that one.
Yeah, that's what they say. That's what they say.
But then, if you want to go strength of schedule this year because of the SEC, well, it shouldn't be based off of pretty much last year and what's coming into this year.
Right.
This year, right? It doesn't go on the 20 years before that. So
yeah, the SEC is not winning in the playoff. They're just not.
They're not. 2-7, and both of them came against their own conference where they had to win one of them. So basically, they are 0-7 in games they didn't play their own conference in the last 3 years.
That's crazy. That means they have not beat anybody outside their conference in the playoff because.
Correct.
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah, because Michigan took care of business, Ohio State took care of business, and of course, Indiana.
All right. One more thing we want to talk about here with the Big Ten SEC. Somebody posted this too, and it was supposedly based off of the 2025 results. Is if we did a Big Ten SEC challenge this year, right? Which would be really freaking cool. Which it would be awesome. Like if you could do this, okay? Yeah. We're just going to run through this. We got about 10 minutes left, so we'll go from the bottom up of these games. Okay, there's 16 games in there. They're saying Maryland and Purdue didn't qualify because they were the bottom 2 teams in the Big Ten because they have 18 teams. It's not the Big Ten, but 18 teams.
Eliminated those 2 and then putting the other 16 against each other.
Right. So there's 16 teams against each other. We'll go from the bottom up, okay? Let's just kind of rapid fire these first couple here. Michigan State or Arkansas?
Michigan State.
I would agree. I think Michigan State, especially with
Fitzgerald there. Yeah.
Fitzgerald there, yep. Wisconsin, Mississippi State.
Oh, Jesus, that's a tough one. Probably Wisconsin. Mississippi State's bad.
Oh, you're going Wisconsin? I would go Mississippi State because Wisconsin was pretty bad, and I don't trust anything that Luke Fickell is doing at Wisconsin right now. So you're going Big Ten about that. Okay, Rutgers, Auburn.
I'll go Auburn.
Yeah, I'll go Auburn on that one too. I think Rutgers is decent for the first couple games, but the Penn State, South Carolina, and this is because of last year's results.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm going to go with Penn State, though. South Carolina's all over the place.
Yeah, I think Penn State's much better than South Carolina. Yeah, so we got that. UCLA, Florida.
I'm going to go Florida in that one.
Yeah, I would definitely go Florida
Slay's
on
rough.
that one. Yeah, I would agree with that one. I think Florida's got more talent. Now they I think have been a victim of a tough schedule, so we'll give them that. But I think Florida wins in that one. Northwestern Kentucky.
I'm going to go with Kentucky in that one. Northwestern's pretty bad.
Yeah, Northwestern's not great. They're pesky, but and you can say what you want. But if Pat Fitzgerald was still at Northwestern, I would go with Northwestern. But I'm going to go Kentucky in that one. Nebraska LSU.
LSU beats Nebraska.
Yeah, I think LSU wins that one, especially with Riola gone, right?
Yep.
Illinois, Missouri. Yeah, I think Illinois is better. I think Illinois is better than Missouri.
Really good right now.
Yeah, they could be really good. Washington, Tennessee.
Oh man, that's a good game actually. I like Washington because of the quarterback right now. He's proven he can get it done as long as he's healthy. Washington's gonna be a tough team. Watch out for them.
All right, I think they'll be better, but I think Tennessee would win that game. I just think
that
I think
that could go either way. That's 50-50.
yeah, I think that offense is one that's Tennessee's offense is one that's a little bit tougher. Now this is one that's really interesting. Minnesota and Vanderbilt.
Oh Jesus! Last year I'd say Vandy all day long, but I think Minnesota can get it done. I really do. PJ Fleck's decent.
Yeah, Minnesota's another one of those. You're right. If it was last year, I'm going Vanderbilt all the way with PJ. Pavian is probably not close, but I go Minnesota in this one. All right, Iowa and Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. I think that's a low-scoring game, but Oklahoma wins.
I think Oklahoma wins that game. They're better. They're better. You know, I think Mateer is good enough that he would be able to take care of Iowa's
offense. Just
now, if it was at Iowa, it could be a little bit different story. Neither one of these. This is just. This isn't saying where. It's just saying if they were playing each other, right?
Pretend a neutral site.
Yeah. Michigan, Texas.
That's a tough one. I'm gonna take Texas in that one.
Yeah, I mean Texas just beat them. Arch Manning is more proven than anything Bryce Hunter was done. So, I mean, obviously we know this. I love Michigan. You love Oklahoma. I would say Texas beats Michigan if we're playing right now.
I hate Texas, but I would have to.
I know you do. All right, USC, Texas A&M.
I'm gonna go USC. I don't think Texas. I think USC will score on them at will.
Yeah, I don't like. We saw what South Carolina did against Texas A&M for a half there. I think USC could do the same type of thing. I would go USC. I'm not a believer in Texas A&M. I'm just not. I wasn't a believer much, in them last year. I just
it was too easy last year.
Yeah. All right, we got the top 3 games, and this is where because of last year saying I think the Big Ten can kind of be a little bit of ahead. I think Texas should be ahead of one of these teams, but it's based on last year. Oregon, Ole Miss.
I like Ole Miss in that one. I think the quarterback.
You do.
I do. The quarterback's back. Trinidad Chambliss and that running back Lacey's back, and I think he's the best running back in the SEC. I think Ole Miss runs that. Yeah, I think they win that one. Oregon's good. Don't get me wrong. That's a fun game.
That would be a great game. Dante Moore back, Chambliss back for Ole Miss. I think that game could be like 49-47. It'd be like a borderline indoor football, game, where they're scoring a ton of points.
Going back and forth.
On my Big Ten bias a little bit, I go Oregon on that one, right? So I'm going to go Oregon. But I think that game right there. Can we sign up for that game?
We got to get that game on the schedule somehow this year.
Yeah, that'd be great. All right. Ohio State, Alabama. This is the one where I'd flip. I would put Texas above Alabama. But again, this is just going off of last year's results, and Alabama did finish higher than Texas. Ohio State, Alabama. Listen, I hate Ohio State.
Yes, you do.
But I think they take care of business on that one, right?
I think Bama's slowly on the down, way down.
Right. Is DeBoer the right answer there? I tell you what, he better be good this year, because if he's not good this year,
they don't have the playoff season trouble.
Yeah, he's in trouble. And then the last one's obviously Indiana and Georgia. Listen, if we went last year, I think Indiana beats them by 20. But
this year, I think Georgia's going to beat them this year.
Oh, you think Georgia? See, you're still stuck on that. Like last year, you were big on Georgia played Indiana, they beat them. Bama beat Georgia last year. No,
Georgia beat them in the SEC championship game. Kirby Smart. Gunnar Stockton, not Gunnar Stockton. I keep saying that. Yeah, it is Gunnar Stockton back.
Yeah, I think. I want to say Georgia, but I doubted Indiana last year, and they very much proved me wrong. So I'm going to say Indiana on that one. But for me, I had Michigan State, Penn State 2, Northwestern 3,
all except the
Illinois 4, Minnesota 5. USC 6, Oregon 7, 8, 9. I had 9. I had 9 of the 16 games going the Big Ten way. I think you were pretty close to that too. So I had Big Ten 9-7. I don't know, but this would be fun. And you know what? There seems to be a way that you should be able to do this. Like these teams have enough.
Forget the Big 12. Forget everybody else. We're gonna go with this.
I mean they have enough money where you could be like, you know what? Let's just do this. Let's just match up teams. You leave this weekend available, but they'll never do it because they're going to be like, well, we don't know if we have a home game or not. So
right. No, that would definitely be fun. I would almost want to see that tournament play out. Like a full 16 team tournament, just play it out. See who comes out victorious in that one, because that could get interesting. Good matchups in there. That Oregon Ole Miss matchup, oh man, that's my favorite matchup of the whole bunch for sure.
Oregon Ole Miss would be fun. I think that the contrasting styles of Iowa and Oklahoma would be fun.
That'd be fun. Oklahoma. The Tennessee game would be fun too.
Yeah, Washington, Tennessee, Illinois, Missouri. Penn State, South Carolina. There's some really good games.
Really good games. They're all really good games.
Yeah, according to ESPN and stuff, though. The SEC would run this. The SEC would go 13-3 in this. According to ESPN.
They haven't even beat a Big Ten team in the playoff yet.
Right.
They haven't even beat a Power 4 team in the playoff. What makes this guy think that they're going to beat Big Ten teams and just run through it?
Correct.
I think USC is a team that you might want to watch out for. I think Washington's a team that you need to watch out for. And I'm just speaking based off of quarterbacks that are coming back and can be dangerous. I mean, those are teams that can do some damage.
Yeah, absolutely. So, listen, it's fun to argue. It is fun to argue. I love arguing. I love giving the SEC some crap.
Especially now that the Big Ten is kind of taken over.
You know what? It's been a while. It's taken a while, but the Big Ten has, slowly kind of. And hell, we even won a basketball championship. Thank you, Michigan.
Right.
So we got some bragging rights right now, and I'm going to take it when we can. So, listen, we are 1 week away. It was fun talking college football. Next week, the Hall of Fame game comes out. We will make our NFL picks next week. I know we've teased it a little bit. We will make our NFL conference picks next week. Or I'm sorry, division picks. And we'll see where we go with these things. And then like I said, I've written these down. I'll take a picture, and then at the end of the season, we will talk about how bad we were with it.
So that's the fun part.
Yeah, that's the fun part. So, and then, as we get in, we got a couple more weeks before the college football season starts. We'll make our college football playoff picks. And, last year I made some picks that were basically dead in the water like 3 weeks in. So
I picked Clemson to make a big run. That didn't go too well for me.
We both did. We both did Clemson last week and last year. And I think we'll stay away from that this year. Well, at least I will.
I'm staying away from Clemson and Penn State because I think I picked Penn State to finally get over the hump, and that didn't work out at all.
Yeah, I picked them to win a national championship last year, so that didn't do well for me. So
that's the fun part about
football season is right around the corner. Tony will finally be done with his dorm life here in a little over a week.
After next week, so.
And then we will try and get together, do a hot takes, hot wing challenge. Right before the season starts. That sounds like it sounds fun in theory. Until we do it, and then we feel the repercussions of it.
Why did we do that?
But listen, football is right around the corner. I cannot wait. It's here. We're getting close. We'll come back next week. We'll talk NFL a little bit. We'll probably have something college to talk about too. But until then, come back. My name's Adam. We'll be back.
I'm Tony. Thanks for listening.
You have been listening to the Two Bald Guys Sports Podcast with Adam and Tony. Don't forget to check out our partnership with Happy Nuts.